So the topic of today's video is graphing quadratics in vertex form. Our objectives: I can identify the different parts of vertex form, and also I can graph from vertex form. So this is a new form of equation we haven't seen. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. And h and k are actually our vertex. Our vertex is at the point h, k. So h is our x value and k is our y value. And just like in standard form and factored form, our axis of symmetry is the same as our x value and our vertex. So our axis of symmetry is at x equals h. Now if we look at the role of a, it's been the same way in the other two. It's the same here. If a is positive, our graph opens up. If a is negative, our graph opens down. And if the absolute value of a is greater than 1, our graph gets skinnier. And if the absolute value is less than 1, the graph gets wider. So the same as we've seen for a few times now. So we're going to have some practice writing the equation of our parabolas given our vertex and our a value. So the first one, a is 5, and our vertex is at negative 1, 4. So this is our x, our y, or we can say our h and our k. So our equation is y equals a is 5, that goes out here. And then because it's a minus, x minus negative 1 is x plus 1 squared plus 4. Okay, and we look at our second one. Our a is 1, our h is 2, and our k is 3. So our equation is y equals, if a is 1, we don't really have to put that, so we can just go straight to our parentheses. X, our h is positive here, so we just go to the minus 2 squared. Let's try that again. Minus 2 squared minus 3, because our k, this is negative 3 here. Our third one, our a is 1/3. Our b, our h is 0, and our k is 8. So our h is 0, k is 8. So y equals 1/3 times x minus 0 is just x squared plus 8. And then our last one, our a is negative 1, our h is negative 7, and our k is 0. So we have y equals, if our a is negative 1, we can just throw that negative out front. X, and then again we have a negative 7 here, so minus negative 7 becomes a plus 7. And then we don't have to put our plus 0 because our k is 0. Okay, so now we are going to graph a parabola in vertex form. So if we use our knowledge, our a here is positive, so this is going to open up. Our vertex is at the point hk, so that's at 1, 3. And our axis of symmetry is at the point x equals 1. So we can go ahead and plot that in x equals 1. Throw that right in for our axis of symmetry. And then to find our y-intercept, we don't have a c anymore. So to find our y-intercept, we have to go back to what we did in factored form and plug 0 in for x, solve for y. So if we plug 0 in for x, we get y equals 2 times 0 minus 1 squared plus 3. So 0 minus 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared gives us positive 1. So we have 2 times 1 plus 3 equals 5. So our y-intercept is at the point 0, 5. We can go ahead and plot our points 1, 3, and then 0, 5. Make our table x and y, 1, 3, 0, 5. Let's try that again. Make that a 3. Yikes. Let's try those y values again. 1, 3, 0, 5. So then we can go ahead and flip that over our axis of symmetry. So we have the point 2, 5. And we just need one more to graph this. So I'm going to plug in -1. So we get y equals 2 times -1 minus 1 squared plus 3. -1 minus 1 gives us a -2 squared. -2 squared is 4. Plus 3. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 3 is 11. So -1. 11 is right above that. And then we can flip that over. -1, 11. And also 3, 11. Go ahead and draw your parabola then. Hopefully yours is not as shaky as mine. There we go. Okay, another example. Our A is a -1 here. We can just throw that in there to help us remember. So this is going to open down. And our vertex at the point HK, and since this is a positive, that means our H is going to be a -5, 2. So our axis of symmetry is at x equals -5. Go ahead and put that in on our graph. -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Draw that in. And again, find our y-intercept. To do that, plug 0 in for x. So we get y equals -1 times 0 plus 5 squared plus 2. We get -1 times 5 squared plus 2. 5 squared is 25 times -1 gives us -25 plus +2 equals -23. So our y-intercept is at 0, -23. Make our table x, y, -5, 2, 0, -23. So -5, +2, 0, -23. We're going to have to go by 3, so I'm going to go ahead and erase my vertex for now. So if we go by 3's, then we would have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. 24 is that line, so 23 is right above that. And our 5, 2 would go right about there. So then we also know the point 10, -23, by flipping that over our axis of symmetry. I'm gonna need to pick one more x. I'm going to pick -3. So we have y equals -1 times -3 plus 5 squared plus 2. So it gives us -1. -3 plus 5, you'll say +2 squared plus 2. -1, 2 squared is 4 plus 2. So it gives us 4 plus 2 equals negative 2. So negative 3, negative 2, negative 3, negative 2, right above that line. Flip it over our axis of symmetry. Puts us at the point negative 7, negative 2. Now we go ahead and graph, draw in our parabola, and there we have it. Okay, so now to review, as you've noticed, if we look back at this, our h is opposite of what it is in the vertex. Since it was a positive 5, it becomes a negative 5 in our vertex. So it's very important to understand that. Your vertex is at the point HK. So if your vertex is at HK, then it'll be opposite on the equation. Role of A is the same for all three forms: vertex, standard, and factored. And make sure to check if your A makes sense. Make sure if you have a negative that it is opening down. Positive, same, make sure that it opens up. Always check to make sure that it makes sense. Make sure to go online, do your reflection, ask any questions you have, get the bonus point, and we will see you in class tomorrow.